Hello and welcome back. I hope you'll continue to enjoy with me. The winters in the coziness of a warm room were starting to feel sluggish. Initially, it felt good, the snowman and the ice creams, but once the snow started to settle in, they faced the same chill and wintry problems that they hated. The water pipes had frozen. There was little electricity, the phone lines were dead, and none of them could step out, not because they could not, but because it was too hard to let go of the bed. Inayat spent most of her time sleeping or watching the television. It was their escape from the banalities of life. They considered themselves privileged to have a TV set at their disposal. It was a luxury. Makbul still remembered the day he unpacked the television 3 years back. Everyone in the neighborhood had gathered outside to witness the arrival of the first television set in the periphery. It was not a fancy one, but a vintage set that had four legs connected to it, with the antennas and the buttons to scroll over channels. It fed on the frequencies of Lahore TV that came from the other side of the border. Every evening they watched BBC, the only English channel that was aired. White men sitting in suits and ties seemed to make Makbul somewhat happy. Every day, Inayat will hear new names and new stories. Steffi Graf had won the Wimbledon, a new wave of terrorists called the Al-Qaeda had sprung up, and in between all these events, sometimes there will be a small coverage of Kashmir. The reporter stood at the Lal Chowk every single time, wearing a bulletproof vest and a dark green helmet as if it was the war zone. He would report half-researched stories, often presenting a biased view of the situation to which Makbul would scoff. Inayat sat with him every night, watching the news. The rest of the time she would spend with Gul and Aqib. There would be a knock on the door and she would leave. Sometimes they will be on the one doing the house chores and they will help each other in clearing the snow off the thatched roof and the lawns. The other times they just fooled around. When it was snowing, they would collect the fresh snow in a big bowl and later make ice cream out of it. Each one of them would get an ingredient and they will mix the fresh snow with milk, sugar, and some flavor to make the ice cream. The ice cream was the only foreign thing that they had except Coca-Cola. Whenever Inayat saw the snowflakes falling, she rushed to the backyard to collect the fresh snow. Watching from the kitchen window, she saw the bucket filling up. By the time she had collected enough for the three of them, she would call them home. Gul will bring along 3 steel glasses. They crushed the ice and filled the glasses, after which they poured in the flavor from the top. Inayat and Gul loved the Ruh Afza squash topping, but Aqib never liked it. He would always ask her to bring along some apple syrup. Inayat and Aqib would on some days get tired of eating it at one point, but Gul never left the chance to savor it till the last drop. Except one day when they were slurping the flavor of the ice cream in Gul's backyard, the bell rang. It was the postman. She ran to collect the post, burying her makeshift cone into the ground. "It's for me," Nena dissented. She ran, screaming back to the backyard, where Inayat and Aqib finished the last bit of the cinnamon-flavored ice cream. "Who?" Aqib asked. "Her aunt from Delhi, the one who sent that baby last year," Inayat replied. "But what is it?" "I don't know," Maybe my birthday gift, she said, the excitement glowing like neon on her face. It had come early. There were still 3 days left for the 21st of December. Open it, exclaimed Aquib. She tore it open, dropping the silver packaging to the ground in a hurry as both of them, Inayat and Aquib, watched her open the packet with curious eyes. It's a cassette, the best of the doors. Who are the doors? Inayat asked, but no one replied. Can you play it right now? Aquib said. Not before the 21st, she replied. Oh, come on. What's the harm? Today or tomorrow it's going to be. On the 21st, she replied, and they could not protest further. She had her own personal cassette. Neither Inayat nor Aquib had a cassette player at their place. Gul's father owned one, a cassette player with speakers at both ends, but he would never let anyone touch it. Gul's father, Manoj Bhatt, was a hoarder. Whatever he had was indexed forever. From the broken buckle of his cheap belt to 1-inch pencil, he could just not let go of anything, and what all he had was to be protected. He amassed everything as pieces of his life and would even ask Gul, even if in a playful sense, to burn all of them along with his fire. His most prized asset was the cassette player. He kept it secure on the third level of his Godrej locker. The only time the kids could listen to it was when he turned it on to listen to Muhammad Rafi's songs. He kept all his cassettes locked in his cupboard, and they did not have any cassette to play, nor the freedom to operate it. Now they had a cassette for a start. When her father was not home, they could play music at will. Gul knew where he hid the keys, and she was not afraid to unlock the cupboard. It had to be the three of them sitting really close with a low volume, but it was something for them. All throughout their short lives, they had heard either the Kashmiri folk songs or the Bollywood songs. This was something new for them. The days when they were lucky, they would bunk their classes to go to the cinema with Javid, Aquib, elder brothers. The three of them went to school together and walked for about a kilometer before they reached their school. On the days they had to go to the movie, they would take a different road and meet Javid at a pre-dedicated location. Javid was 4 years older than them, their prodigal son who had repeated the same grade twice, but the ever elder brother still treated them like children. He had a deal with the boy at the ticket counter who otherwise would not have let them inside the theater in their school dresses. You think you'll go without me? He will tell them, a part of frustration reflecting along with some ego that was still left. And they would go along with him even after his nonsensical jabber about his contact and how they were still immature. They knew he was the only one who could make it happen. He would bring his friend along, the butcher's son who Inayat had to face every day along with her father to watch the movies that were playing at the cinema. It was all the same to Gul, a protagonist, a cheesy actress, and an antagonist. Every story ended the same way. The hero would win and marry the actress. It was predictable, really, she would say as the movie ended. The spectators would shout and clap when the movie was over, and even though the three of them were silent, on the outside, they would feel as if they had just seen something surreal. Inayat had a movie count, 27, but her favorite was Salman Bombay. It was something she wanted to watch again and again, relive the story day after day as if it was something new. However, she could go only when the elder one was free and willing. The three of them will save money as much as they could. They saved for their pocket money and the allowances. They started saving to an extent that they started having their daily dose of coke on alternate days, just so Inayat could proudly say in front of her classmate that she had been to 27 movies. The only ones who had the bragging rights other than her were Gul and Aqib. But one film had always haunted her, Pushpak. She remembered to this day the sound of the branch breaking into two. Makbul sipped his whiskey as he watched the clouds merge with one another when he heard her scream. He rushed to the backyard, almost slipping into the kitchen, only to find his daughter lying on the ground, screaming next to their makeshift swing. The chinner was not as strong as they had thought. Well, the bone is fractured, she said as Aqib and Gul sat next to her on the chairs in her room. Does it pain? Gul asked. Not anymore, she replied as she sat upright on the bed. Can I write a get well soon message on the plaster? Aqib asked. The pens are on the table, she replied. Makbul was worried, as was his wife, and thus he started dropping and picking his daughter in the car. But she wasn't really moved. She felt the luxury of being dropped to school in a car. All her friends at the school had started writing well wishes on her plaster. Every day she would come home and show Wahida the new graffiti on her plastered hand. It was an experience for her. This state but it did not really hit her until the day she walked with Makbul to the butcher shop. Hand in hand, she walked with him towards the shop as he greeted people on the way, his suit flawless as ever, the perfect combination. Her left hand was shaded in plaster, and her father held her right hand. The touch of his hands felt like smooth brown suited to her. He did the usual, buy the packet of cigarettes and the meat for dinner. He stopped at the crossroad to talk to an acquaintance. That was when she saw the poster. A new movie called Pushpak has sprung up at the local cinema. The poster was painted in bright, vivid colors as usual. It was another one of those tasteless movies, she consoled herself. However, it did not take time for the fire to spread. Within days, everyone had gone nuts over the movie. There are no dialogues in the movie. No one speaks a word, Javid said with his pride puffed up. Inayat would later come to know from Wahida that it was called a silent film. At her school, everyone who had had the chance to see the movie was saying that it was something that no one had ever seen. Those who had heard of it were full of praises. It was a Thursday when Aqib and Gould came running to her and said that they will be going for the movie the next day. Shokat has seen the movie twice and he had been talking about incessantly. He started describing what he had heard for him. The shenanigans of the actors in the movie and the story while she just listened quietly, but in their excitement, they failed to notice that she wasn't really replying. You won't be able to come, right? Gul asked apologetically. She was still wilting. They understood the reason she couldn't get out once she was inside the school. Well, I could talk to Javid. He consoled her. There is no way I can make it, Aqib, she said firmly. Maybe we can go one day after I get better. It's not an issue, he said with a dumped look on his face. Aqib, the plaster wouldn't be taken off for at least a week. She prowled looking for something that he'll say to cheer her up. But the movie will be taken off tomorrow, Aqib yelled out instantly, realizing that it will make her feel worse only after he had said it. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. She was silent. They could do nothing. As she went inside, she pulled a chair and sat right next to the window, watching the skies turn from blue to black as she saw hope flickered on the top of the peak. She sat there, warming her hands in front of the angiety as she killed time watching the bacon. She felt at peace somehow. Every time she sat there watching that light flickering as if it was calling out for her. When she was getting ready the next morning, her mother helping her to wear the pullover, she peeked from her window, pushing aside the brown curtains. There was the same movement and chaos at Gold's place. She could hear her voice and watch her mother comb her hair. She was perturbed at the sight of both her friends coming to her in the evening and eulogizing the movie. She decided that she did not want to see them, and not just right after they had seen the movie, but even before they went. Baba, let's go, she said with a frown. We still have 15 minutes, no? He said, looking at his brown strapped Titan watch as he tied his tie. No, let's go. I have some work, she said, standing on the door. As you say, princess. Her father cleaned the windshield and they went off to the school. He smoked a cigarette and carried her bag till her classroom, placing it on her desk. After he left the class, she sat beside Fatima. Where is school? Fatima asked, surprised to see her sitting on the adjacent bench. I don't know, she replied as she struggled while opening her bag with a single hand. Have they gone for the movie? She questioned. Yes, probably, she replied, turning her head away, trying to avoid the conversation. The class started. They were nowhere to be seen. She let out a sigh, cursing her hand, the branch, and the swing. However, nothing could change the fact that she had missed the movie, that goals and equip count will be one more than hers always. 15 minutes into the history class, she saw both of them standing at the door, waiting for the teachers to turn. They did not go. She picked up her stuff, dropping a pencil to the ground in a hurry, and made her way towards the bench next to Gul. You didn't go, she whispered as she pretended to look into the textbook. Gul had a grand birthday party, but wanted his daughter to have a majestic 18th birthday. Somehow, the miser let go of his ways for his daughter. Inayat wished her in the morning, and they hung out for a while before Aqib joined them. She cut the cake at 4 when her relatives and other friends from school joined them. She looked like a prima donna, wearing the fake plastic tiara and the white dress that her cousin had gifted her. Aqib, in his football jersey, sat next to Inayat as they ate the butterscotch cake. The balloons were glued to the walls and a happy birthday banner hung over their dining table. Bart had brought birthday caps for everyone and was pursuing everyone to wear the caps that he is handing them. Makbul smiled at the sight of his daughter wearing the cone-shaped purple hat while he sipped his whiskey. He was wearing the orange tie which he only wore on special occasion, his wife contemplating him, wearing a hijab matching his tie. Aqib and Inayat felt a bit out of place. The kids and the elders had merged. They were relieved to see Shabnam and Fatima. Other than them, her house was filled with mostly her cousins who had made a mess of her room. She cut the cake with a plastic knife as everyone sang to her. Bhat kissed his daughter on the cheek. Inayat realized that even if your father is an uncle, Scourge, a father's love is a father's love after all. Fatima and Shabnam came for a short time and left as soon as the clock struck 5:30. Their parents came to pick them up. Aqib and Inayat left at 6, leaving her with her cousins. Inayat slept looking through her window. The light from Gul's room was on even at 1 a.m. The next day she got up and started leafing through a novel, pretending to read it in front of Makbul. His publishing house had recently published it. She had understood by now her father did not want her to agree to his spiritual principles or become a topper. He simply wanted some involvement, a faint consideration from his daughter. Even though she only pretended to read, it made him happy and she could see it. She was on the 68th page when she heard Wahida's faint voice calling her. Inayat, Gul is on the phone. She heard her mother from the living room and rushed downstairs, closing the book in an instant. Listen, Papa isn't home. Come fast, she whispered hurriedly and cut the phone. Inayat understood in an instant why she was calling her this way. The tape. The maroon muffler around her neck, she rushed to Gul's place. As soon as she opened the heavy door, she saw Aqib sprinting from a distance and waited for him before she entered. They rushed to her father's room, greeting Gul. Gul claimed that she had heard one or two songs a day before when her father had gone out for a short period. Not giving much thought to what she had said, Inayat sat as close to the cassette player as she could as Gul turned the volume to the lowest possible so that no one else would hear them. The songs started to play and they sat there, their ears pressed to the speakers. They were listening to foreign music. Inayat would wake up the next day to an aching neck. She had pressed it to the left speaker. None of them could figure out all the words that he was singing, but they got the basic idea of what he was saying. His voice was undercooked and raw, just like the tone of the guitar, but it was different, something that they had never heard of. Gul read the name of the song after it ended so as to not break the momentum. The first song finished and the next started. Light My Fire. The title was written in a legit handwriting. The three of them looked at each other's face intermittently, enthralled by the composition and the rare music. Without any delay, she played the next song. Inayat had heard this kind of music on the television while her father watched BBC. After the first side finished, they paused the cassette. I love it, Inayat exclaimed as she looked dazed. Me too, Gul said with a smile. They had the same faces, the same feelings. This was something crisp. Gul diagnosed the cover. In the years to come, they would come to know that his name was Jim Morrison. There was a complete track list inside the cover. Inayat read all the names of the songs. By day 3, they had remembered the names of the songs in the chronological order. The winter holidays were halfway through. It was the 29th of December. The new year was dawning upon them by the 2nd. Every morning at 9:30, Bhatt left for his shop. He sold pashmina shawl and scarf in a small shop near Dal Lake. His main customers were the tourists to whom he sold the shawl to exorbitant rates, almost at double the rates. He came back at 3 for lunch and finally at 7 after closing the shop. Her mother went to the market to buy the groceries and she would easily be out for about an hour in the morning. That was their time. It had become a routine. It had become something that they waited for eagerly. Inayat did not wait for the call. As soon as she saw Bhatt leave with a black suitcase in his hand, she made her way to Gul's place to listen the songs. They sat there with a pencil and a paper now, each of them pausing the song after every line he sang, jotting down the lyrics or whatever they could make of it. Every day they will pick one song and interpret the lyrics line by line, word by word, pausing and rewinding the tape. Gul loved Light My Fire. She was stuck on the song and she had been singing it while they were going to school, while they came back from home, in the recess and during the classes. When she couldn't sing, she would scribble the words at the back of her notebook, decorating it as if she was a scribe. As Inayat grew up and the consciousness about human preferences and emotions started kicking in, she realized that Gould had an affinity toward things that were out of her reach, like love, things that none of them thought about. Gould secretly did. Her imagination exceeded her age and maturity at times. Inayat's favorite was The Unknown Soldier. She had memorized the lyrics and would keep murmuring them whenever her father switched on the television to watch the news. Breakfast where the news is read, television children fed. Thank you once again for tuning in. I hope you like it and I enjoyed as well. Please continue to like, share, and subscribe, and comment as well. If there is anything you would like to say, please feel free to write it in the comment section below. And enjoy the hours ahead. Thank you.